Up, everybody? Now, today I want to touch on this video I just watched with Dr. Umar and Nick Cannon. And despite all the derogatory things everybody has to say about Dr. Umar in the school and all that, I'm not going to unpack all that. I want to know what's going on with the school too, just like everybody else. Some things about him scream scammer, but what I can honestly tell you, and I would never try to discredit, is the actual knowledge and value that he brings in the conversations he has. He does speak on some very important things and topics that we need to talk about, especially amongst the black community. Now, he's a little bit of an extremist when it comes to being proudly black. But at the end of the day, I've seen extremists in a lot of races and do a lot of things. And to be honest, most of them didn't get discredited by their race. And on top of that, I'm going to excuse the fact that he actually does have some value and knowledge when it comes to a lot of things, in particular, the school system and diagnosis of autism and ADHD and other things in special education. Now, I'm not going to do too much talking, and I'm not going to play the whole video because, as you can see, this video is 15 minutes long. Well, I don't plan on playing the whole video, but I didn't finish watching the video, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna probably pay like a good 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm gonna give my point of view on some of the stuff I wanted to touch on about the topics in this video.
What they do to so many of our boys.
Right.
So for example, you were in the 3rd grade.
Yes.
That's normally the grade when they start evaluating black boys for ADHD.
Yeah.
Now just to back up for a minute, first it was ADD, Attention Deficit Disorder,
Right.
1980.
Right.
The problem with ADD is there's no drug that can make you pay attention. So when you deal with mental health, you have to deal with the influence of the psychiatric drug cartel. There's no such thing as talking about mental health without talking about Wall Street drug profits.
Wow.
They go hand in hand.
Come on.
Psychiatric medication is a $30 billion a year industry. You're talking big bucks for small pills.
Wow.
You see?
Yeah.
So now, when you look at 3rd grade and you look at the criteria for ADHD, a lot of what you need to display to be classified with it could be arguably considered normal behavior for an 8, 9, 10-year-old.
Right.
You see the contradiction right there, right there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Has trouble sitting still.
Yeah.
He's in the 3rd grade.
Right.
Has difficulty paying attention. He's in the 3rd grade.
grade.
Has trouble playing quietly. He's in the 3rd grade. So at what point is this mental illness versus you practicing discrimination against traditional male behavior?
Right.
A big issue I have with ADHD is it is
And the H is for hyperactive.
and the H is for hyperactive.
Yeah.
So in 80, when you had ADD, it was just deficit, no hyper.
Right.
But the drug companies weren't getting paid.
Right.
So 7 years later, in 1987, when the DSM-2 or 3 came out, I forget which one it is, that's when they added the H.
Yeah. That's
So-
right during my time.
Absolutely, you see that.
Yeah.
So right now, the way the DSM-5 operates,
Right.
even if you don't meet all the criteria, I can still label your child as ADHD. Let me say that one more time.
Yeah.
Even if you do not meet all the criteria, I can still label you
Wow.
as ADHD.
Right.
And with the new DSM-5, Nick, they made it easier for us to classify children with ADHD because before we needed to see symptoms by like the age of 8.
Right.
Now it's like you need to see symptoms by like the age of 12.
Right.
Before, we needed to see clear evidence that these problems was disrupting this child in several life areas.
Right.
Today, the bar has been reduced and it just needs to cause some sort of maladaptive activity, if you would.
Right.
And I'm paraphrasing the criteria. But the point I'm trying to make is they lowered the bar.
Right.
So now it's easier to put children in with the ADHD.
Right.
So, number one, you have an issue of male behavior being criminalized and pathologized.
Right.
Why is that a big issue? Because most teachers are what? Female. The public school is a female empire. Most teachers are women, black or white.
Right.
The problem is female teachers, because they were never boys and have never lived as men. They don't know that the behavior that they see, a lot of it is normal.
Right.
This is what boys do.
Right.
If you had more male teachers, there would be less referral for ADHD. Most children, black boys in particular, are diagnosed with ADHD almost exclusively off the recommendation or complaint of a white female teacher and a frustrated black mother. A black woman and a white woman are working together and they're driving this ADHD machine. Now, for me, one of the things that concerns me a lot about the ADHD crisis, because that's exactly what it is, Nick. We can go to some of the schools in Los Angeles, and literally almost every boy, especially if he's black, almost everyone, if not everyone, is on some form of psychiatric medication. I don't care if it's Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, Cyclert, Metadate. How can a whole classroom have ADHD? First of all,
I don't know why that camera's shaking like that. That's some horrible film production right there, Nick. You can tighten that up. But I just want to touch on that real quick. And this is not even a big thing to say, but I do notice that a lot. It's like with autism. The autism rate has went ridiculously high. And I didn't know if it's because everybody's literally autistic or is it because the guideline to become autistic is just being widened. I'm not sure because it's a big difference between our fathers, us, and our children. Mental diagnoses are just, man, they're skyrocketing, and it's scary. It's so scary to have kids nowadays just because of how many mental disorders and things of that nature that these children are having nowadays, and we're just lost. There's no explanation. Is it the water? Is it the food? Is it the environment? Is it the pregnancy? Is it the liquor? We just don't know. Is it stress? It's just so hard, and the guidelines keep changing with no real results. And on top of that, I know a lot more people, like he said, that's taking medications at younger ages. Kids in high school, not even in high school, before high school, getting prescribed Adderall. Like, what? It has to be some type of way to combat that without throwing medication. And I know they have therapies in certain school settings and things of that nature, but what things do, because it takes a village and you have to be able to do stuff day to day. It need to be at home techniques, and there are, but I don't know, it just don't seem like they work as well. And it don't seem like the medicine work for a lot of them either. So it's like, damn if you do, damn if you don't. But like I said, I'm not gonna touch too much on it. I'm gonna speak, but not too much.
Statistically speaking, only about 15% of any population should be quote unquote disordered. 15%.
Right.
How you end up with half the class on medication? Wow. Something is clearly wrong. And as someone who works in schools, I can tell you, if the school is poorly run, poor structure, the kids are going to be more referred for medication because they're dependent on the psychiatrist to control behavior in the school,
now,
not the administrators.
Can you break that down? Because I know we said it was a hustle, but even based off of like the more students that you have on medicine or the more problematic kids, the more money that the actual school can actually make.
So now you're talking about ADHD meets special education.
Right.
Now let's talk about how ADHD meets special education. ADHD is not a special education disability. There's 13 special education disabilities. There's over 400 clinical disorders. Bipolar, borderline, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, ADHD, conduct disorder, ODD. These are clinical disorders. They are not diagnosed in the school. Although I'm trained to evaluate for ADHD, if I'm gonna do it, I gotta do it in the clinic. In public and charter school, you cannot diagnose a mental disorder, only learning disabilities. So you say, if that's the case, why are there so many black boys in special ed for ADHD if you just said y'all don't diagnose it in the school?
Right.
Because one of the 13 federal special ed classifications is other health impairment, OHI. OHI is any medical or psychiatric problem that affects your ability to learn in the classroom.
Right.
You see that? So your mother or father gets you diagnosed with ADHD. You bring that evaluation back to the school. Now that they have the evaluation, they can legally evaluate and consider classification for special ed purposes. Right. In other words, you can't even end up in special ed unless your parents give the school that outside diagnosis.
Right.
And I'm on a mission to tell parents, black parents in particular, stop getting your children evaluated for ADHD. Because if your son can learn, why does he have an IEP anyway? See, remember this, Brother Nick. In order to qualify for special ed, you not only must have a disability, it must affect your learning. Stay right there. If we go to any classroom, we're going to see thousands of black boys who have no problem learning in a special ed class. Why is he in there? For discipline problems. It is illegal in the United States of America to place a child in special ed for behavior. Special ed is not for behavior. It is for learning problems. But guess what? Half the black boys in America are in there for what? Behavior, because their parents don't know the law, they don't know their rights, and the schools are basically discriminating against them.
I 100% agree with that. I literally know people from my generation and the generation prior. Well, I'm not gonna say the generation prior, but just like my older cousins and stuff. Some of them were in special ed because they were badass kids. They kept getting into fights. They didn't do well in school, not because they couldn't, but just because they were bad as hell. And they sent them to special ed. And to be completely honest with you, a lot of them are mentally messed up to this day because of that. That leaves a traumatic effect on your mental when you're in special ed with all your peers. And that's back when everybody used to go to the same school for years. See, me, I switched schools every year, except one. And I got held back that year, which is crazy, but I'm not even about to touch on that. Actually, no, I am going to touch on that because that played a part on that. I wasn't in special ed, but I got held back for no reason. I had a good GPA. The teacher said she didn't feel like I learned enough. I had a 3.0. Well, no, my last report card was a 2.8, but still, we all know that's above passing, but I'm not going to touch too much on me, but I just had to throw that in there. That was crazy. I know people that was in special education, and they still talk about it to this day, whether they spent a year in there, 2 years in there, 5 years in there. Once your child is old enough to know where they're at, that's going to be a mental impact on them. They're going to get teased about it. They're going to feel bad, especially in a family like mine. We talking about you. I'm sorry. We're talking about you. In our culture, that's what we do. We talk about each other. We roast the shit out of each other. There's going to be a mental thing on them just because they were bad, just because they used to fight a lot, just because they didn't listen to the teacher. And that could be a problem stemming from home. The parents cannot be disciplining them or raising them right. That definitely could be a problem stemming from home. But the schools need to be able to tell the difference between a bad kid and a kid who just can't learn. That's a big difference.
Wow.
You see
they
this?
get money for the special education?
Yes, here's how it works. When you evaluate a child for special education, if they qualify, their name goes into the computer. It's transferred to the State Department of Education. If we take California, that would be Sacramento. Yeah. Normally, by the end of the month, there's an electronic transfer of funds to that school district for your child.
Wow.
On average, special ed children are worth twice as much as the regular. So let's say Nick and Umar are second graders.
Right.
Nick is a regular student. Umar was referred for special ed.
Right.
I qualify.
You're right.
Let's say the school district we attend spends $9,000 per pupil.
Right.
Right? Once I qualify for special ed, I'm not worth 9 no more. I'm worth 18,000. Wow. It's double your money. And they get that extra 9 every year I'm in special ed. So if you're getting an extra 9, let's say we're in second grade. Yeah. Extra 9, you got 10 more years of school before you graduate.
Right.
That's 9,000 times 10 years. Yeah. That's an extra 90,000, one kid.
One kid.
What about 100? What about 1,000? So I want you to see that special ed is a multi-million-dollar empire based on lies. Right. And why do I say lies? Most of our children who end up in special ed are not there because they can't learn. It's because they can't control their behavior. Let me take that back. Haven't been taught how to control their behavior, or they haven't been taught the skill for which they're being evaluated. Wow. 80% of kids who are put in special ed, Brother Nick, are put in for reading problems. Reading, right?
Which I have had all my life.
You see? Yeah. Right, reading.
Yeah.
So,
but can be taught to overcome it.
Can be taught to overcome it.
Yeah.
So why you got all these children in there for reading? We don't have people who can teach children how to read? Right. Of course we can. You got 2 issues. In order to properly teach reading, you really need to have some kind of a phonics approach. Most public schools, a lot of them, have taken phonics out of the instruction. Yeah. Phonics is basically mastering the letter-sound association. Yeah. If you don't master the letter-sound association, how are you ever going to learn how to read? Right. You see that? Yeah. So the reason why a lot of children are disadvantaged in learning reading is phonics has been removed from the instruction. Now, let's go to...
That can be taught at an infant level.
That can be taught at an infant level. Children can read at 3. Right. What do you mean you can't read at 13 with normal intelligence? Right. Now, let's go to the home. This is where we got to take responsibility. Right. Most parents, they just celebrated Christmas. They bought a whole bunch of gifts, right? Right. How many had books under the Christmas tree? How many had a dictionary under the Christmas tree with more than 100 pages?
Phonics program.
How many had a thesaurus under the Christmas tree? Right. How many bought a complete set of encyclopedia A through Z under the Christmas tree? Right. Most of what was under the Christmas tree was tablets, cell phones,
Right.
HD TVs, laptops, video games, clothes, hair, sneaks, right?
Right.
Now, most parents would never even realize this, Nick. You are consciously investing in your son's future incarceration. Why am I saying that?
Yeah.
Because if he's in the 5th grade, reading on a second, and you just bought him a video game, a HD TV, a tablet, and a phone, what's the chances he's going to be doing any more work to improve his reading skills? He's not.
He's not.
You just invested in his distraction. You just invested in his future mass incarceration.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So we have to look at how the black home, unintentionally,
Yeah.
and the white-dominated public school are working together to disadvantage generations of black males. When I speak in the prisons, Nick, even across the world, because you have special ed in other places.
Absolutely.
They just call it something else. And I always ask the inmates, raise your hand if you was in special ed. It's not a question of how many hands go up. It's a question of how many hands don't go up. Nearly everybody in there, black or white, had an IEP coming through school.
Well, this is a thing where I wanted to go to, because you showed the economic infrastructure of, everything from the pills and the diagnoses and the prescriptions, from ADHD to any other disorder.
Yes, sir.
And then you showed the infrastructure of how, they're making money based off of your classification.
It's messed up. I know Nick Cannon is sick. He was diagnosed with lupus. But it's just, man, it's so messed up to just see him, just kind of wither away. Like, he losing so much weight. He just looks sick in the face all the time. His body it's just like it's withering away, man. That's a sad sight, man. Prayers up for that man. I'm sorry that he got to go through that. Don't know him personally, obviously, but I'm not gonna say obviously, but I don't know him personally. But it's just a sad thing to see, man. He just look real sickly, and it just look kind of weak now, like he breaking down, and that's just a sad sight. It's messed up to imagine somebody tell you, like, it's like getting diagnosed with cancer. Somebody basically tell you you're dying early. We all know we're gonna die, but to find out it might be next week is a whole nother thing. So to live with that every day, man, more power to him. And to push through, more power to him.
Yes.
With special education.
Yes.
But then the one thing that we all hear about from time to time, and is you brought it up, is the school to prison pipeline. And that idea of just like, they're not here to educate us. They're really here to prepare us. And there's even been standardized testing.
Yes.
To where at the 3rd, 4th grade level that they can determine which one of these students will spend time in a penitentiary, and probably how much time they'll spend in there. And I mean, I would love for you to kind of unpack that a little bit more, but just seeing how severe it is not that we're not just sitting here having a conversation about your kid's classification. It's really about this is that systemic process of how black men specifically, all men of color, are really structured to say, all right, we're going to put you in this public. It's preparing you for an institution. This institution is preparing you for this institution.
Absolutely. And it's so bad, Brother Nick. I had a judge tell me, a black judge in New Jersey, told Dr. Umar, she said, you are absolutely right with what you are teaching. She said, do you know most of the young people who end up in my courtroom do not come from the street? They come from the school. A judge told me, Nick. She said most of the children I'm putting in juvenile detention and in adult prison, they're not being picked up off the street. They're coming from the school building.
Right.
She said it is literally school to prison pipeline.
Wow.
Now, I'm going to go a step further. There was a report that came out from the United States Department of Education a couple years ago. It said preschool black boys, pre-K, are being suspended and expelled at a rate higher than white boys in their grade and higher for similar offenses.
Wow.
We're talking 3, 4, and 5. And one thing I would say to that, some would consider it controversial, but it's true because I've seen it. In the system of racism under which we exist, it does not categorize black males by age. What I mean to say by that, Nick, if your son is 5, 15, 25, or 50, he's going to be dealt with the same way.
Wow.
They do not allow, American social order does not allow for black boys to experience adolescence or childhood. Wow. What do I mean by that?
I 100% agree with that. And I even hate to play the race card, but I 100% agree with that. I remember my nephew, right? He was a semi-bad kid to a certain extent. He just didn't know how to control his anger. I remember he hit a teacher, And they told his mom that if somebody, a guardian, doesn't come up there and speak to him and calm him down or get to the bottom of this, they were going to call the police on him. He was like 5 at the time, 4 or 5. You know how crazy that sounds? A 5-year-old, you're going to call the police on a 5-year-old for assaulting a teacher. I couldn't believe it. Now, I'm going to be honest, he did throw a desk too. I don't know how he did that, but he threw a desk. But still, the police? You not even suspicious, not even, okay, we just going to take him away for the rest of the day. You calm him down, he can come back tomorrow, we can try this again. You know, more than one. How many strikes did he get first? I couldn't believe that. I had to rush to the school to talk to him. The police? On a 5-year-old. When I got there, that's the first thing I cared about. I said, you guys were going to call the police? School full of white people. School full of white people. Women, mostly. That's crazy. That should never even be an option with someone that young. That should never be an option. That's ridiculous. Now, I can think of a few different things they could have tried to do. But the police should have never even been on the spectrum. That should have never been an option. I don't understand that. So I can definitely agree with Dr. Umar, and I can say I experienced that firsthand, that they will call the police on a child. And they don't care about ages. Now, can I say they only do that to black kids? I would never, I'll never be able to say that, but I can't say that now. I've never seen it happen to a white kid, but I don't know if it does. I'm not white. Nobody in my family's white. I got some white friends, but I've never heard them say somebody that to their kid. So I can't definitively say that does or does not happen to kids of other races and cultures. I can't say that. But I can say it has happened to my family. So that's just a wild thing, though. That's very crazy. And I actually have seen kids in high school. Now, this was in high school. Go from school to jail. I have seen that. Literally, like, you go to school, we call the police, you going to jail from school. I definitely have seen that. Now, did some of them deserve it? Maybe.
Nick, I'm saying that if a white kid makes a mistake, he's going to get another chance. He's going to get an opportunity to correct himself. There's going to be a teachable moment. There's going to be some treatment and therapy.
Right.
Let a black boy do the same thing. He's getting an academic lynching. Our boys are given no opportunity to learn through trial and error what it means to be a responsible young man.
Right.
This also comes back on the household too, because so many of our boys are being raised by the mother. 2/3 of our children are being raised by the mother. And this is not to criminalize the mother,
right?
But because of the absence of the father, we are the men. We teach the discipline. Right. If the men are not in the home, they're not being taught discipline.
Right.
So you have a kid who's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times more likely to be disadvantaged because of his color. And we're not even making sure they have the discipline necessary to survive the system. So we actually prepare them for the academic slaughter.
Wow.
Marketing is easy.
I'm glad they cut that little snippet out, because the whole video, obviously, you can see it's almost 45 minutes. And I actually plan on going to watch the whole video. I didn't even know that wasn't, well, I kind of did know that wasn't the whole video, but I wasn't 100% because I didn't see any other suggestions. I'm going to go watch the rest of that video. And this is what I mean when I say they try to discredit Dr. Umar a little too much. That was a lot of value in that video. That little 15 million minutes should have really got you thinking, especially if you have kids. And in the beginning, I said I want to touch on something personal with me. And, you know, my son is 2 years old, going on 3. He was recently just diagnosed with autism disorder. Now, I don't know how far on the spectrum they think he is. I didn't ask that question, but he's on the spectrum. And it was so sad to hear. Even when me and his mom first discussed it, it was a sad discussion that it was even a possibility. But me and his mom made a pact before he was born that if we ever seen any signs of anything, we were going to address it head on. Don't nothing irritate me more than when I see kids who clearly are somewhere they shouldn't be. I'm not going to say necessarily on the spectrum, but you can see it's something missing there. And the parents just pretend like there's nothing wrong with them. Just like, he just a little slower to progress than others. And it's like, no, he needs some extra help. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's nobody happy to hear that. You get what I'm saying? But before I jump too far off track, we said we were going to meet it head on, and if we did, we were going to do everything we can to catch it early and try to improve it as much as we can. Because we both understand that the farther you get in life and the farther behind that gap is, as far as you getting older and your mental is not aging with the rest of your peers, that can cause a big wedge between you progressing in life. And that can lead to prison. It can lead to you doing some stupid things. And we didn't want that for our child. So we said we were going to we might cry about it, but we're going to make sure he gets the proper care and learning environments and tools he needs to try to excel in this world the best way we can give him. Also, I always want to say, we had so many tests, and he passed mostly all of them. But we still wasn't 100% sure that he wasn't on the spectrum. Even though they kept telling us, no, it's not, he's not. We were persistent. And this the thing is, we wanted them to tell us no. It's not like we wanted them to say yes, but for you to give me a no and not have a clear reasoning to why we feel this way, like the stuff we're seeing, is signs. And for you not to be able to give us an explanation of why my son is displaying these attributes of autism, that made us go to another doctor. That made us go to another center. Because nobody can explain why he doesn't have it. They just know he doesn't. If that makes sense. And that didn't sit well with us, because we still need the tools to try to fix the problems he's having now. And if it's not autism, what is it? What can we do to make it better and speed up the process and help him? That's the point I mean about not just hearing what you want to hear and running with it. We have eyes and ears, and we watch this baby every day. It's different when somebody watching him for 20, 30 minutes, maybe an hour, versus somebody who sits with him every day and night. Don't leave it up to the doctors and psychologists and things of that nature. Don't leave it up to the professionals. Nobody knows your child better than you. Remember that. Don't just leave it up to the school system or a therapist or anything of that nature. Always seek out counseling, seek out help, and seek out professionals, because they give you guidelines and they give you the tools. But I also want you to understand something. Just like with my son, he has a diagnosis. You are not your diagnosis. Remember that. You are not your diagnosis. You can be better. You can get to the point where it's like you never even had it before. You get what I'm saying? It's so many things they tell us to do with our child, since he's on the spectrum, that supposed to help with this and help with that. I do some of it because I would never just try to like downplay it, but certain things I'm just not doing with my son, because I believe in him and I have faith, and I'm the one who sits with him every day and sees what he can and can't do. They don't. Even though they ask you a billion questions, they still will never be me. They will never understand my child the way I understand him. So I will never let them basically raise him. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people look for the schools and the professionals to raise their children, especially when they're mental needs or on the spectrum or things of that nature. And that's the one thing I hate to see. A lot of special education students are left and shunned out to the school system. And, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm not a teacher. I'm not a professional. And parents kind of like shun them away or take a step back once they get that diagnosis. And I hate to see that. It's still your child. You're still responsible for them. I don't give a fuck if you got to go become a doctor to figure it out. Figure it out. You need to be hands-on every step of the way and learning every tool to put under your tool belt to give your child the best chance and possibility of living a normal life and not being shunned out by society and not being taken advantage of. Because personally, I feel sad for a lot of like older men and children, like teenagers, young adults. They get taken advantage of a lot by the world. Those the ones, the big homies, how to do the dumb stuff. But they get the fake badges on. Oh yeah, he be on tip. He'll shoot anywhere. But they know he a little off. You know how many tough niggas I knew when I was younger? And when I was real young, I'm like, man, this nigga be on all that. He don't care about nothing. He'll go to jail. He fight everybody. He'll shoot anybody. He tough. I'm thinking he's so tough. I got older and realized most of them was mentally disturbed. Most of them had mental disabilities. Most of them was a little off. I'm going to be honest, they was a little off. And I want a lot of people to start taking a step back and starting to really pay attention to your crazy friend or your crazy cousin or that crazy uncle that really be on that. And just start thinking about, like, dang, does he seem like he has the normal brain capacity that normal people have? And I'm not trying to alienate people who has mental disorders. But at the end of the day, obviously, if it wasn't normal, If it was normal, it wouldn't be considered abnormal. So, but just take a step back and look at that, and start noticing that most of these people we idolize for being tough really probably don't even have the mental capacity to be anything but, or they were never taught how to not be tough. The same way Dr. Umar said, it's not that they can't control their anger, they were never taught how. A lot of these people were never taught how to function in society in a normal way because they were through to the school system by their parents. And the parents just said, well, he bad, I'm whooping him, and he don't listen, it is what it is. I'm not letting the school system raise my kid. My son was recommended for special education. He's 2, about to be 3. He was recommended for special education. I did not like the sound of that. I did not like the sound of that. My son is brilliant. He's so smart. He does lack in areas. I would never, try to pretend like he doesn't. I would never try to be naive. But I didn't think he would need that. And that was just like the autism diagnosis. I keep saying diagnosis, I don't know why. Diagnosis, that was another blow. It was like, damn, back-to-back blows. Like, not only is he on the spectrum, special needs? What? Mom? Do you know what he just did last night? And I see him do so many amazing things. I just can't fathom why he would need that. And I'm still going to give it a try. But if it gets to the point where I feel like he don't need it, he's getting took right back out. I don't care about any recommendations, any specialties, any doctors, any professionals. Fuck all y'all. I'm going to do what's best. I feel like it's best because this is my responsibility. That child is my legacy. If he succeeds or fails, it falls on me. It doesn't fall on the school system. Your child's success falls on you. That's your legacy. Whatever he becomes is going to be a reflection of me, and I'll be damned if I let somebody choose my legacy for me. Even if I have to sit down and learn with him and read books with him and teach him how to do this and teach him how to do that. And that's the problem. A lot of parents not willing to sacrifice their own happiness for the sake of their child. They want to come home and go to sleep every night. They want to come home and still go on dates and still have a life. Sorry, my baby, you chose not to have a life when you chose to have a kid, especially women. Y'all really get a full choice. Men get a semi-choice, but y'all get the full choice of having children. So if you want to be completely honest, most men, if they had the option, they wouldn't have no kids right now. Sad to say, but they wouldn't. I know this for a fact. Plenty of surveys on it, and come on, I'm a man. I've talked to a million men. Just remember, your child is your responsibility, and do not let the government raise your child. Oh yeah, for the people that make their kids get fake disabilities and fake diagnoses for a check, I hope you burn in hell. I hope you burn in hell. I know people whose parents made them play slow so they can get a free check every month. That's pitiful. You should be ashamed of yourself, and I don't like you. Strongly don't like you. I will never accept that from anybody. That's some money-hungry, greedy BS, and that you should be ashamed of yourself. But anyways, like I said, don't let the government raise your kids. Don't let these schools tell you what's best for your child. You're with them every day. Thank you for watching my videos. I appreciate everybody that gives my videos a chance and actually watches them to the end. Please check out other content on my page. I actually do have some very good content. It's very informative and educational, and some of it's funny. I got a little sense of humor sometimes. I'm serious, but I'm a little funny. But hey, engage, man. Turn on your post notifications. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Give me comments, a lot of feedback. I'm always open to comments and feedback. I have very thick skin. I'm not a crybaby, and we do not have to agree. And like I said, I'm open to opinions. Sometimes I could be wrong. I'm not a genius. I'm just a guy on YouTube. I don't have any degrees except diplomas. I have diplomas, no degrees. Thank y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all. I'm out.